So today we're going to be talking about what supplements should you take for your eyes. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Rani Banik. I go by Dr. Rani for short. And just a couple of words about me. I'm an ophthalmologist. I'm also a fellowship trained neuro-ophthalmologist, and I also practice integrative and functional medicine based in New York City. Where I have a practice and I also teach. So I have my private practice, but I also have an academic appointment where I teach at Mount Sinai at New York Eye and Ear Infirmary. I teach residents, fellows, and medical students. And I also conduct clinical research at Mount Sinai in neuro-ophthalmology. So I run their clinical trials in neuro-ophthalmology. So that being said, as part of my training in integrative and functional medicine, I've developed quite a passion for nutrition. And so again, for those of you who are new, who don't know me yet, I recently published a book called Beyond Carrots, Best Foods for Eye Health A to Z. And so this book is all about the many nutrients that we need to keep our eyes healthy beyond beta carotene, and the many foods beyond carrots that provide those nutrients. So not just carrots, but there are over 40 foods that can be that can provide our eyes with the many, many nutrients we need. So if you have not yet checked out my book, it is available on Amazon, both in paperback as well as in Kindle, and it's coming soon in hardcover as well. You can scan the QR code and you can learn more about nutrition for your eyes. So I really want to emphasize to people that nutrition is really the basis for eye health. Yes, you can take supplements, but really let the foundation be your nutrition. And a supplement is exactly what a supplement should be. It should supplement an already complete, rich diet full of many of these foods that I highlight in my book. And so you can see here, this is, just a perfect example of the array of different types of foods that you can eat to keep your eyes healthy. Notice that most of these are fruits and vegetables. So that's very, very important. And then again, if you take a look at my book, there's a lot more detail and information in there. Now, for those of you, again, who are new, I did another webinar about 2 weeks ago. So if you have not listened to it yet, I would strongly advise you to go back and take a listen. It is available on YouTube. And if you don't have the link, we can certainly send it to you. But in my webinar, I talked about my top 4 strategies for an eye healthy diet. And so just in brief, these were the 4 strategies I talked about. Number 1, to eat a plant-rich diet, again, full of fruits and vegetables and healthy fats and legumes and grains, etc. Number 2, eat the rainbow. So eat a diversity of colors to provide your eyes with the many nutrients they need. Number 3, avoid SAD foods. SAD stands for Standard American Diet, which is basically a diet that is high in processed or ultra processed foods, also unhealthy fats, mainly omega-6 unhealthy fats and trans fats, and also high in high sugar content. So added sugars, mainly natural sugars are okay, but added sugars you want to stay away from. So that's a SAD diet, Standard American Diet, you want to avoid. And instead, you want to focus on more whole foods, natural foods, natural sugars, healthy fats, mainly omega-3 fats and some omega-6s, which we'll talk about today. And you want to stay away from processed foods. And then finally, my 4th strategy for an eye healthy diet was to support a healthy gut microbiome. And you can do that through foods that are probiotic foods as well as prebiotic foods. And there are many other ways to support a healthy gut microbiome, but that's a topic for a different day, because today I want to talk to you about supplements. Oh, okay. So my slides are not advancing. Okay, so let me go back actually, because I really okay. Let me do this a different way then. So let's see if this works. Okay, that is probably still not going to work. Let me start from the beginning with the slides. I really apologize. I'm not sure why that happened. Now, can you all see my slides? Can you see my first slide here that says, what supplements should you take for your eyes? Can you see that? Okay, thank goodness. I apologize. There's always some kind of a glitch that comes up with these webinars. So anyway, let me just go through the slides really quickly. I'm not going to repeat everything I said, but I first I shared who I am, my background. I shared my book and the link to my book on Amazon. I shared an image of the therapeutic foods for eye health, which again are colorful fruits and vegetables that you should rely on. These can provide your eyes with a diversity of nutrients, multiple nutrients, not just one or two nutrients. And then I talked about the webinar that I gave before. And yes, I will, I can't grab the link right now, but I will have my staff email you the link. Everyone will get an email with the link to today's replay, but also we will send you a link to the previous replay from 2 weeks ago, where I shared my top 4 strategies. And then these were the top 4 strategies. So again, plant-rich diet, eat the rainbow, avoid sad foods, and then support a healthy gut microbiome. Okay, now next, so basically after that webinar and after the release of my book, I've gotten a lot of questions about nutrition and eye health. And the 3 most common questions I've gotten have to do with supplementation. And that's why I put together today's webinar to try to address some of those questions. So the number 1 question I got was, I know now what I need to eat for my eyes and how to eat for my eyes, but if my diet is good, do I still need to take an eye health supplement? So that question we're going to answer today in our session together. The next question I got was, I have a history of fill in the blank. People wrote in, I have a history of dry eye or glaucoma or macular degeneration or cataracts. Is there anything I can do to reverse that? Should I take a supplement? So I'm going to address that as well during today's session. And then finally, the third question I got was, there are so many eye health supplements on the market. How do I choose? What should I be looking for? Which ingredients should I be looking for? So these are the 3 questions I'm going to be answering today. And then what I'll do is I'll go through my slides, and then at the end, I will leave time for some questions. Now I'm going to ask you, because I have multiple windows open at the same time, if you have specific questions, please put them into the Q&A box, because if you put them into the chat, I may not see it. Because again, I'm trying to juggle the slide, the PowerPoint plus the chat and the questions. So please put it into the Q&A box so that I can see it at the end, because otherwise your question may go unanswered. And I really apologize if that happens, because I do want to get to everyone's questions. So let's dive right in. So let's answer the first question. If my diet is good, do I still need to take an eye health supplement? So my answer to this is a resounding yes. I strongly believe, based off of my research for my book that I did, based off of what I've seen with my patients over the past 20 plus years in practice, that even with the best of diets, eye problems can still arise. And I do think it is important for the majority of the population to take some kind of eye health supplement. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons for why I believe this. So reason number 1 has to do with the 3 most important eye nutrients out there. I know I mentioned earlier that there are many eye nutrients, but if I had to choose what are the 3 most important ones, I would choose the macular carotenoids. Now, you've probably heard of carotenoids. There's beta carotene, there's lycopene, there's vitamin A. These are all in the class of nutrients called carotenoids. They're relatives of vitamin A. But there's 3 specific carotenoids that are found in the eye. And they're also found in the skin. They can also be found in the brain, but these are preferentially deposited in the eye to protect the retina. And so what are these 3 macular carotenoids? These are lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin. Now, some of them are hard to pronounce, I know, but they're in the class of macular carotenoids. The macular carotenoids, because they are deposited into the macula, which is the center of the retina that gives us our 20/20 vision. Why are they put there? Well, nature put them there because they are potent antioxidants. And these 3 carotenoids act as our natural sunglasses. They help block UV light. And they also act as our natural blue blockers. They can help protect our eyes against excess blue light exposure from screens, for example. So these macular carotenoids are the most important nutrients for your eyes. So where can you get them? So first of all, our bodies cannot make these macular carotenoids. We can't just manufacture them ourselves. So we need to get them externally. We can get them from diet, which is ideal. We can also get them from supplements. So if you're looking for these macular carotenoids from diet, and I talk about this in my book, I go into really a deep dive about this in my book, but you want to look for green leafy vegetables as a great source. But there are also other sources, not just spinach and kale and collard greens or dandelion greens or Swiss chard. You can also get these macular carotenoids from yellow and orange foods. For example, bell peppers that are yellow or orange. You can get them from egg yolk. That beautiful orange color of the egg yolk is because that egg yolk is high in these macular carotenoids. You can get them from foods. However, what I will tell you is that our levels of macular carotenoids in our eyes decrease as we get older. As we age, those concentrations go down. And unfortunately, many of us, most of us, simply are not getting enough from diet alone. How much do we need? Well, it's estimated that for lutein, we need about 6.5 milligrams a day of lutein. Unfortunately, most adults on Western style diets are only getting about 1 to 2 milligrams a day. So there's definitely a discrepancy there in the amount that we should be getting to protect our maculas, our retinas from light stress and other kinds of oxidative stress, and what we're actually getting from diet alone. And again, this is from, this is data based off of people who are on relatively good diets, who are already eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Now, the other important nutrient, zeaxanthin, the second of the macular carotenoids, it's estimated we need about 1 to 2 milligrams a day. And unfortunately, most of us get less than 1 milligram a day. So I would propose that because of this discrepancy in what we need and what we're actually getting from our diets, we should be taking an eye health supplement. And I mean this across the board. I'm not just talking about adults, in midlife, or older adults who may be more at risk for certain conditions. I'm talking about people across the board, even younger adults, even children. And I'm going to explain why in a second. So I think that we need to supplement specifically with macular carotenoids to keep our eyes healthy. Now, that was reason number one why I think we should all be taking an eye health supplement. Reason number two why we should all be taking an eye health supplement is because, unfortunately, the nutrient levels in our food have dropped. Now, you may be thinking, oh, I'm eating plenty of leafy greens, but the nutritional content of that food is not what it used to be decades ago. And there have been studies done looking at the nutritional content of our crops going back to the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s, and comparing them to, let's say, the 1990s or 2000s. And we know that our micronutrient levels from our food are not what they used to be decades ago. So because of changes in agricultural practices, because of frequent tilling of soil, that soil is losing its natural nutrient capacity. And also because of certain fertilizers that are used with nitrates, the levels of nutrients in our agriculture, our foods, have dropped significantly. So even though you think you may be eating a wonderful diet, a really robust diet, diverse diet, you probably are not getting the same nutritional content as what you could have gotten, let's say, if you were eating decades ago, 80 or 90 years ago. And the specific nutrients that have been looked at, these are just a couple, include vitamin C and magnesium, two really, really important nutrients for our eyes. So that's just a couple of examples of some of the vitamins and minerals that have been researched in terms of nutrient quality. So this is reason number two why I think we should all be supplementing for our eyes. Now, reason number three is that currently, based off of our dependence on digital devices, our eyes have a lot of visual demands. Many of us spend hours of our day on screens. For example, based on surveys, this is actually pre-pandemic data. Before the pandemic, most adults were spending about at least 10 hours a day on screens, and children were spending over 6 hours a day on screens. And so because of all of this screen time, it's led to a lot of eye issues in many people. The overall condition when people are on screens for a long period of time, they develop eye issues. The overall umbrella term is called digital eye strain. You may have heard of that, or computer vision syndrome. It's also known as that. But the symptoms may include eye fatigue, trouble focusing, dry eye, light sensitivity, headaches. These are some of the symptoms that may fall under the umbrella term digital eye strain. And because of this, there have been certain nutrients that have been researched. Can these nutrients help with digital eye strain to counteract the effects of excess screen time, to counteract the effects of blue light or dry eyes? And the answer is yes. We know that from early studies that supplementation with the macular carotenoids, for example, again, lutein, zeaxanthin, mesozeaxanthin can help with digital eye strain. We also know that people who are suffering from dry eye, especially if they're on screens all day, they can really benefit from omega supplementation. So there are a couple of different nutrients that are really key that can help support our eyes in this day and age when we are so dependent on our digital devices. So again, because of these three reasons, I am really convinced that supplementation is really so important for all of us if we're thinking about keeping our eyes healthy for the future, for the years and decades to come. So you can maintain healthy vision, not suffer from eye strain, not develop conditions like cataracts or dry eye or macular degeneration. So then the next question is, so that was question number one that I get asked before. Now we're moving on to question number two, which is, what should you be looking for in an ideal eye health supplement? What are the ingredients that should be in the ideal eye health supplement? So first of all, I would say all three of those macular carotenoids, again, lutein, zeaxanthin, mesozeaxanthin. Now there is an ingredient that combines all three together. I didn't put it in the slide deck, but it's called Lutamax 2020. And I can again send you this information. So all you have to do is you have to look at the label and you're going to look for the brand name Lutamax 2020. If you find that brand name, then you know that you're getting all three of the macular carotenoids in the ratio that is best absorbed by the body. So you're going to look for that, all three in that form. Now, I'm also going to share with you, and this is in my book, and I don't have that much time to go into depth on the webinar about it, but there is another carotenoid called astaxanthin, which is a red carotenoid that's also been in some studies shown to be very beneficial for eye health. So what is astaxanthin? Well, astaxanthin is a type of carotenoid. It's a red pigmented carotenoid. Remember I told you earlier that the macular carotenoids are yellow pigmented? This is a red pigmented carotenoid. It comes from algae. And when marine animals eat the algae, they also take on a red or pink color. So if you see like starfish or flamingos or shrimp and they're pink, it's because they're eating a lot of astaxanthin algae. But anyway, astaxanthin is a very potent antioxidant. And in some studies, it's been shown to help macular degeneration. So there was a study done in Italy called the CARMIS study, carotenoids for age-related macular degeneration in Italy study, the CARMIS study, and those study participants took the macular carotenoids plus astaxanthin, and they had reduced levels of vision loss from macular degeneration. So it's been shown to help that. It's also been shown to help with inflammation after cataract surgery. So there was a really interesting study that looked at patients before and after cataract surgery, and some of the patients were given an astaxanthin supplement, and the patients who were given astaxanthin were found to have decreased levels of inflammation postoperatively. So it helps with the healing process. And then there are some other studies that have shown that astaxanthin helps with blood flow to the back of the eye. So many potential benefits of astaxanthin. We're just learning about these. Astaxanthin has also been promoted. You may have heard about it because it's also been promoted for not just eye health, but brain health, as well as skin health. That's kind of the new hot carotenoid marketed out there for skin health, for younger looking skin. So astaxanthin should be in an ideal eye health supplement, as well as berry extracts. Now, there are numerous studies, and again, this is all covered in my book, so you can get more details from my book, but there are numerous studies that have shown that people who take various types of berry extracts, whether it be bilberry or mackey berry, can have improvement in their night vision and also in dry eye. So berry extracts are very important. for eye health. And so I do think that an ideal eye health supplement should include some form of a berry extract. And then finally, a specific form of vitamin E. Now, there are different formulations of vitamin E. The most common ones are called tocopherols, but the one that is even more potent is called tocotrienol. And this is a really interesting formulation of vitamin E that's been looked at and researched for cancer. It's been shown to have very potent anti-cancer properties. But in terms of eye health, we're just learning about how it can support cell membranes within the eye and in the retina. So if you're looking for an eye health supplement, I would strongly recommend the tocotrienol form of vitamin E as a very potent antioxidant. So all of these ingredients are antioxidants. They fight against oxidative stress. They also help fight against inflammation. And the root cause of many eye conditions include both oxidative stress and inflammation. So this is what you're going to look for in an eye health supplement. So you're going to read the labels. And what I'll tell you is that when I was writing my book and researching for my book, I looked at all the different, and I shouldn't say all because there are many out there, but I looked at many different brands on the market of eye health supplements. And currently there are probably at least 75 different brands of eye health supplements on the market. I'm just curious, just put into the chat, how many of you take an eye health supplement? You know, something formulated specifically for your eyes, whether it be an ARED supplement or some other kind of eye health supplement, just put it into the chat because I'm a little bit curious about this. Yes, so I'm getting a couple of yes, AREDs, Vitize, lutein, bilberry. Yeah, so and then Madeline saying, I didn't know about them. So now you're finding out. So I'm glad you're here. A Life Extension, MacuGuard, MacuHealth, yeah, that's another very popular one, Ocuvite. So you can see just from the responses that there are many different brands out there on the market. And what I would suggest that you do is if you take one of these brands, flip the bottle around, take a look at the back and see what the ingredients are. Is there Lutamax 2020? Is there any form of astaxanthin? Is there a super vitamin E, tocotrienol? Is there a berry extract in there? Now, since we're talking about this, I thought I would just mention a little bit about the AREDS supplements, because I know some of you probably have heard of AREDS, or you're taking an AREDS or AREDS too. So AREDS stands for the Age-Related Eye Disease Study. These were two very large studies done, sponsored by the National Institutes of Health in the United States. They were published. The first one was published in the late 1990s, and the second one was in the mid 2000s. And basically, they looked at the first one looked at over 4,000 people who were followed for macular degeneration. And what they found was that a particular supplement formulation, including vitamins A, C, and E, as well as copper and zinc, helped to slow or prevent progression of macular degeneration, but only in a certain population of patients. Not all the patients benefited, only the patients who were at highest risk for macular degeneration, the ones who had intermediate stage macular degeneration, who are most likely to progress to an advanced stage of macular degeneration, those patients benefited. Then there was a second study done, AREDS 2 study, looking at adding lutein and zeaxanthin, as well as omegas to the supplements to see if that would provide any additional benefit. And basically, they found very similar results, that about 25% of people benefited, nothing extra compared to the first study. So why did those studies really not show more benefit? You would think that, okay, with these powerful supplements, that more people would have had improvements or less progression of their macular degeneration. Well, you know, there's a lot of hypotheses out there. And I have in my book, in chapter 4 of my book about supplements, I talk about what I think my hypotheses are in terms of why more people didn't benefit from the AREDS formulations. It's, I think, because only 6 different ingredients were tested. And also back then, when they did the studies, we didn't know about lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin. We didn't know about astaxanthin. Tocotrienol was not studied. So again, based off of my research, I think that these additional components should be in an eye health supplement, the AREDS did not study them. So I know some of you are taking AREDS, and that's usually what most eye doctors will recommend for people with intermediate macular degeneration. But I think that we can do better than that. I think that if we fortify our eyes with more, in terms of more powerful ingredients in the supplement, that we can have additional benefits. And also the berry extracts were not evaluated either. And I think that those are all kind of important missing pieces to the puzzle when it comes to eye health. So again, I've done a lot of looking into the different brands and formulations, and unfortunately, I didn't find one that that I thought was the ideal supplement. I couldn't find one that I really thought included everything that should be there for an eye health supplement. So I began talking to some manufacturers of supplements, and what ended up happening was I partnered with a manufacturer to create my own supplement, because I really didn't think that what is currently out there is really fulfilling the needs for complete eye health, not only for macular health, but also for dry eye prevention and glaucoma. So this is my supplement. It's in a line called Ageless by Dr. Rani, and this is specific for eye health. It's called Fortify, and it contains all 3 of the macular carotenoids in the Ludomax 2020 formulation. It has astaxanthin. It has 2 types of berry extracts. It has mackey berry, and it also has bilberry in it. Again, mackey berry has been shown to help with dry eye, and bilberry has been shown to help with both night vision as well as optic nerve health for glaucoma. So I do think that this combination really kind of covers a lot of the age-related eye issues that many people may develop. So my the supplement also has tocotrienol, that potent vitamin E that I was talking about, and it also has ginkgo biloba, which has been shown in some studies to help with glaucoma management. So this is my brand, but again, I would suggest that you look at whatever, if you're taking an eye health supplement, turn the bottle around, look at the label, know what's in the label, and see if it's a complete eye health supplement. Now, what I will do is I'm also going to, well, this is what I recommend it for. So Fortify, so I formulated this for people with eye strain from excessive blue light exposure, also for people with a diagnosis of macular degeneration or glaucoma, or also those who are at risk for either macular degeneration or glaucoma. Let's say you have a family history of it. You can take this and strengthen your ability to fight against some of those age-related eye diseases. And it's also great for dry eye. I want to just move on a little bit. So that is the eye health supplement part of my talk. Now, what I want to just share with you is a little bit more about supplements in general. Now, many of you probably take a multivitamin. So just raise your hand or put it into the chat if you take like a standard multivitamin, because I know many people do. Based off of overall surveys, I think about more than 50% of the population in the US takes a multivitamin. So let me just explain a little bit about multivitamins and what they provide, and how they can, taking a complete multivitamin can also help your eye health. So the standard multivitamin will have the B complex vitamins. There are many of them. So B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, B9, B12. Those are the B vitamins. And most standard multivitamins will have all of the Bs. They will also have vitamins A, C, and E. These are potent antioxidants. They support the eyes, but also all other parts of the body. Most standard multivitamins will also have a vitamin D formulation, whether it's a D2 or D3. They'll also have multiple minerals, calcium, iron, magnesium, manganese. These are some copper. These are all some of these standard, and zinc as well. All some of the minerals found in a standard multivitamin. And then finally, most multis will also have vitamin K to help support healthy blood clotting. So those are what should be in a standard multivitamin. But if you want to go a little bit beyond that for your eye health, let's say, again, you have a history of some eye issues and you want to be proactive. What I would say is, instead of taking something like this, now this is just an example. There are many brands out there, but I chose this because Centrum Silver was actually the vitamin that was given to the patients in the ARED study. So the patients in both AREDS 1 and AREDS 2 were given, in addition to their eye health vitamin, they were also all taking a standard Centrum multivitamin. And if you look at this, so this is, again, a very reputable brand. This is something that many people take. And if you look at the ingredients in Centrum Silver, you'll see that they're listed here. And there's a lot of them. You know, what I described earlier, the B vitamins, vitamins A, C, E, vitamin D, all the minerals, and vitamin K. This one actually even has some lutein in it. So you get the added value of one of the macular carotenoids, not all three, but one of them, which is great. However, what I think is missing in the standard multivitamin is a class of nutrients called bioflavonoids. Now, how many of you have heard of bioflavonoids? Just raise your hand if you've heard of bioflavonoids. Yeah, so bioflavonoids are really potent plant-derived compounds, and these there's over 4,000 bioflavonoids found in nature, and different types of plants make different bioflavonoids. And the reason why they make these bioflavonoids is to protect themselves. They protect the plant against disease, against infection, against all the elements like excess sun exposure, et cetera. So the bioflavonoids are the plant's natural antioxidants. And if we eat plants that have bioflavonoids in them, then we will also get those benefits of those antioxidant properties. So in my book, I talk about bioflavonoids, and the specific bioflavonoids that I think are important for eye health include resveratrol. You may have heard of this because resveratrol is also considered like an anti-aging bioflavonoid. It's found in usually dark pigmented types of fruits, like, for example, grapes. Red wine has resveratrol in it as well. So do cherries, so do apples, and anthocyanins, which are darkly pigmented bioflavonoids that come mainly from berries. So, for example, blackberries, blueberries have bioflavonoids called anthocyanins, and also other bioflavonoids that can help with eye health are quercetin. You may have heard of quercetin. Quercetin is a unique compound that helps to support the immune system. It got a lot of press during COVID in terms of immune support. So again, very potent anti-inflammatory agent, as well as an antioxidant agent. And it comes from many different sources. It can come from red onions, for example. It can also come from apples and cherries. And then there are some citrus fruits that also have very potent bioflavonoids called hesperidin and rutin. So, for example, grapefruit or orange have these bioflavonoids. So what I think is, if you're taking a standard multivitamin, that's great, but look at the label. And you really need to really further boost your eye support, look for a multivitamin that has bioflavonoids. Okay, that's very simple. Look at the label and see what's in there. So, so similar to my Fortify product, I also have a product in my line that is a standard multi with bioflavonoids in it. And this is called Nourish. And this is kind of the foundation for my supplement line, because this, again, it can be taken by anyone, even if they don't have eye issues, but they have the extra bioflavonoids that I've talked about in my book. And the specific ones that are in this formulation include quercetin, the citrus bioflavonoids I talked about, also resveratrol, anthocyanins. Also, I've included a broccoli extract, a broccoli seed extract. And the reason is because broccoli seeds have very potent detoxifying properties. They're also anti-cancer properties. So this broccoli seed extract has something called, I'm going to get a little bit technical here, it's called glucosinolates. And so sulforaphane glucosinolates, you may have heard of that, some of you, but so this, this particular product has that sulforaphane in it. And also I've included some more extracts, grape extract, as well as another form of a berry extract. So again, whether you choose to take this or not, all I'm asking you to do is look at your supplement. turn the bottle around, look at the label, be discriminating. Be, look for what will really fully support your overall health as well as your eye health. And as long as you're taking something that has bioflavonoids, you will also be supporting your eye health. Now, moving on, another popular supplement that people take are omegas. Specifically omega-3s. Now, you can definitely get your omegas from foods, and there are numerous studies to show that people who take who have a higher intake of omega-3s, let's say from eating fish on a regular basis, 2 or 3 servings of fish a week can help decrease conditions like dry eye, can also help decrease conditions like macular degeneration. But also there's some other great benefits for heart health and for brain health. So omega-3s are highly desirable, either from your diet or from a supplement. And I know a lot of people turn to the omegas for their heart health or their brain health or their skin health or their immune health. So lots of great benefits there. Now, omega-6s, on the other hand, tend to get a very negative reputation as being a pro-inflammatory type of nutrient. However, what I'll tell you is that we need omega-6s as well. We don't just need omega-3s. We also need omega-6s. So omega-6s are not all bad. What happens is when your ratio of 3 to 6 is off, that's when your body may be more prone to a pro-inflammatory state versus an anti-inflammatory state. So you want to balance your 3s and 6s. Now, most people, their 6 intake is up here and their 3 intake is down here. And that's not good. That will definitely kind of drive your body into a pro-inflammatory state. So to balance that out, what I would say is, you want to decrease your 6 intake a little bit, but also raise your 3 intake so it's more even. And you may have heard of the omega 6-to-3 ratio. Now, some people have very high ratios, like for example, 12-to-1 or 30-to-1 or even 50-to-1. So that is not good. That will definitely drive pro-inflammatory disease states. So you want to decrease your ratio. The ideal ratio, some people believe, is about a 4-to-1 ratio. So 6-to-3 is a 4-to-1 ratio. It's thought that our ancestors who were hunter-gatherers probably had a closer to 2-to-1 ratio or even a 1-to-1 ratio. But even if you lower your ratio by as much as possible, that will benefit your body and decrease pro-inflammatory states. So again, not all 6s are bad, but the 3s are important. You want to raise your 3 levels. So do it through diet. But if you're taking a supplement, consider taking a supplement that is not just an omega-3 supplement. You maybe want to take a supplement that has 3 and 6. And if you want to go even further, you can also include a supplement that has 7 and 9. Now, you may not have heard of the 7s and 9s. 7 is palmitoleic acid, and it's been shown to be very anti-inflammatory. See buckthorn oil. We may have heard of that before, but that's something that's been promoted for overall health. That's very rich in omega-7. So if you're taking an omega supplement, maybe consider taking a complete supplement that again has 3, 6, 7, and 9. 9 is oleic acid. Oleic acid is the primary fat in olive oil. And we know from people who have high intakes of olive oil, let's say, for example, people who are on a Mediterranean diet, they tend to do really well in terms of their heart health and their brain health. They tend to have decreased risk of many age-related conditions like high cholesterol or heart disease or even diabetes. So if you're taking a standard omega-3 supplement, you may want to expand that into taking a supplement that has 3, 6, 7, and 9. So more of a complete supplement. Now, in my supplement line, I also have an omega supplement. It does have the 3s. It has omega-3s in the form of DHA and EPA. Now, what I will share with you is that DHA is very important for eye health. It is a structural component of the retinal cell membranes, and our retinas constantly are undergoing very high turnover. So you want to make sure that you have a good source of DHA in your diet, whether you're getting it from food or whether you're getting it through a supplement. So DHA is critical. It's also great for brain health. EPA is also very important. And there are numerous studies to show that omega-3s are important for dry eye, for example, as well as macular degeneration. Now, omega-6, gamma linolenic acid is the type of omega-6 GLA is a type of omega-6 that has been shown to help with dry eye. So if you suffer from dry eye, you want to consider taking a 3 and a 6. But again, if you want to go beyond that, consider taking a 7 and 9 as well. I just want to point out that there are a couple of different studies that have looked at taking omega supplements for dry eye. And one very important study is called the DREAM study. Don't ask me to repeat what it stands for, DREAM, dry eye. I don't remember what all the entire acronym stands for, but the DREAM study looked at patients with dry eye, and one half of the participants got omega-3s in the form of DHA and EPA. The other group got an olive oil placebo. So it was not a true placebo. It was an olive oil placebo, basically omega-9. And so what they found in the study was a little bit disappointing because we were expecting there to be significant benefits from in the omega-3 group, but basically both groups improved. So what does that tell us? Well, it doesn't tell us much because even the placebo group got some form of an omega supplement. Now, some people will argue, well, it was a really low dose, but still they were taking a supplement that was considered placebo that had an omega-9 ingredient in it. So my takeaway from this is, number one, you should try to get all your nutrients from food. But if you're taking an omega supplement, consider taking something extra with maybe a 6, as well as a 9, as well as a 7. So this is my supplement. It's called Soothe. It has all 4 of the omegas in it in a ratio that is standardized to what we think is necessary by the body or needed by the body. So Thank you, Linda, for putting that in. Dry eye assessment and a management study, the DREAM study. Yes, I forgot. I had a little bit of a brain lapse there. Okay, so the final thing I'll just share with you is a lot of people, so we talked about, many people take a multi, many people take an omega, many people also take a probiotic. So what should you be looking for in your probiotic? Now remember, probiotics are, you can get them from diet, like I talked about earlier, and that's also in my book. There are certain foods that are great probiotic foods, fermented foods, for example, but you can also take a supplement. And so what you're looking for in a probiotic supplement is, and before I get to that, I just want to point this out here. There is a link between gut health and eye disease. We know that people who have gut dysbiosis, where their gut microbiome may be off, are more predisposed to conditions like dry eye, as well as macular degeneration, even uveitis, as well as glaucoma. So you want to support a healthy gut to also not only support your entire body health, but also your eye health. And so when you're looking for a good quality probiotic, these are the 3 things you should look for. You should look for a high live bacterial count at the time of manufacture. And, some brands will say 5 billion colony forming units, or CFUs. Some will say 10. What I would say is look for a probiotic that has more than 30. So if you take a probiotic, look at the label and look to see how many billions of colony forming units it supposedly has in it. Because what will happen inevitably is, with processing, and then it gets shipped, and then the supplement gets, it sits on the shelf for a while, that live bacterial count is going to go down. So if you start out with a higher bacterial count at the time of manufacture, there is more of a chance that there will be actual live organisms in the supplement when you take it, when it ends up, in your home and you're about to take it as part of your supplement routine. You're more likely to get the actual live probiotic rather than just dead organisms that aren't going to do you much good. So look for a high count of live bacteria. Also, look for a diversity of bacterial strains. Now, if you look at the labels of most probiotics, they'll list out which strains are in the probiotic. And most supplements will have anywhere from 3 to 5 strains in them, different types of strains. What I would say is look for more. Look for a diversity, because within our gut, there is a huge diversity of organisms that live inside of our gut microbiome. So if you just take 3 or 5, that's probably not enough. You want to have more diversity. And so look for at least 7 or more. And then finally, you want to look for something that is packaged well, that's shelf stable, that is not going to be degraded by exposure to light or heat or other elements as it's sitting on the shelf. And remember, these are live organisms, and you want to make sure that what you're buying is actually a live organism, not something that's unfortunately died in the process of manufacture and transport and shipping and storage, et cetera. So these are the 3 features you want to look for in your probiotic. In my line, my probiotic is called Balance, and it has 50 billion CFUs. And there are, when I formulated this, I chose the top 10 strains that have been researched. So I looked through all of the research that's been published, and these are diverse strains that have supported many different kinds of conditions, not just eye health, but there are some strains in this probiotic that have been shown to help with chronic eye inflammatory conditions. For example, there's a type of chronic conjunctivitis called vernal conjunctivitis that's been supported by a strain that I chose to have in this probiotic. So these were carefully selected for their clinically proven benefits, these particular strains. Now, the other thing is, you notice that this bottle looks a little bit different. It's not a typical amber glass bottle that many supplements come in. This is a particular packaging to help preserve the life of the probiotic, the live organisms that are inside. And so this is shelf stable, and it does not need to be refrigerated. There are some probiotics that need to be refrigerated, but this does not need to be refrigerated. So with that, just to review, I'm going to wrap up now and then take some questions. Overall, I think that, yes, you should take an eye health supplement, but also think about the other supplements you're taking and optimize them for your eye health as well. So number 1, take an eye health supplement that has the macular carotenoids, lutein, zeaxanthin, mesozeaxanthin. Also, it's really, really beneficial if you can find one that has astaxanthin, as well as berry extracts, and also tocotrienol, which is that supercharged vitamin E. Next, if you're taking a multi, look for a multi with bioflavonoids. Next, if you're taking an omega supplement, look for more of a complete omega, perhaps with 3, 6, 7, and 9. And then finally, if you're taking a probiotic, make sure your probiotic is a quality probiotic, high quality with a high in the billions CFU count, something that has diversity of bacterial strains, and also a probiotic that is shelf stable, that's not going to get degraded. So with that, I'm just going to share, this is my line. Now, I'm sharing this with you for the first time. This is the first time I've actually publicly talked about my line of supplements. I really wanted to make sure everything was in place before I launched this. And, this is something that I've curated, I put together with the manufacturer that I'm working with, which is a very reputable manufacturer. But what I'll say is, even if you don't take my supplement, if you can just follow the recommendations that I've given you in terms of how to choose the best supplement, I will be so thrilled, because that means that you're doing whatever you can to support your eye health. So yes, I would love it if you would take my supplement, but you don't have to take it. You can take another brand that will provide you with everything you need for your eyes. So I strongly encourage you to do a little bit of research, look into if you're taking one, what the labels say, what's there, what's not there. Think about what's not there as well. Maybe look at some other brands and see what's out there on the market. But if you wanted to learn more about my brands, you can scan any of the QR codes here, or you can go to my website or click the link. Let me see if I can do this here. I don't know if I'm able to put a link into the chat, but I will try. Yes, I do. I was able to do that. So that's the link, but also we'll send it to you. My staff will send it to you. With that, I'm going to, let me see here. I'll also remind you, if you have not yet gotten my book, there is so much information in the book. So what I've shared with you today is a small portion of what I have in the book. Much of what I've shared with you today is from chapter 4 of my book, but then again, there's also chapters 1, 2, and 3. So if you found this information useful, or if you want to go back and learn a little bit more, take a little bit of a deeper dive, I strongly encourage you to get my book. It's already hit #1 on the Amazon bestseller list several times. It's also, if you're looking for a Father's Day gift, this is a great gift, because I know that especially many of us who have parents who are older, or maybe you are a parent who's, who's getting a little bit older, and you want to do whatever it's necessary to protect your eyes, this is a great resource for dads as well as the family. So, so you can scan the QR code there. You can find it on Amazon. And then finally with that, I'm going to open it up to some questions. So I'm going to look here and okay, so let me go to the Q&A first, and then I'll see if I can answer some questions from the chat as well. Okay, do I have an opinion? So Joseph is asking, do I have an opinion on avoiding lectins? So, there are a couple of prominent doctors out there on the internet who say to avoid lectins because for many health issues. What I would say is lectins are in many different types of foods, and I don't think you necessarily have to avoid them all, but what I would say is in certain foods that are high in lectin content, you might want to soak them first to decrease the lectin content before you eat them. And some people are very sensitive to lectin. So if you soak them ahead of time, then it will hopefully decrease your body's reaction to them. So that's all I will say with that, because I'm not a lectin expert, but I know that, again, there are some doctors out there who really are averse to lectins. And then someone asked, how can I tell if supplements interact with other medications for high blood pressure, for instance? So basically what I've shared with you today, I don't think that any of the ingredients that I've shared with you today have an impact on blood pressure. There are some types of supplements, for example, curcumin, if taken in really, really high doses, can increase the risk for bleeding. So not necessarily blood pressure related, but bleeding related. Or there are some people who take very, very high levels of vitamin E that can also increase the risk for bleeding. So those are the known side effects or risks to consider with some supplements. I'm not aware of any specific risks to high blood pressure with any of the macular carotenoids or with astaxanthin or the omegas that I mentioned or the probiotics I mentioned. So if you do have specific questions, maybe you should ask consider asking your provider, your primary care doctor, if there's any specific contraindication that with anything personally that you're taking that may not really go well with any of the supplements that you're taking or considering taking. So BML Lee asked, can glaucoma and dry eye cataracts be reversed with diet and supplements? Thank you. Thank you for that question, because it's a very common question people have. Can you reverse damage that's already been done from glaucoma or cataracts? And I'm going to answer very honestly here. The answer is no. If you've already developed optic nerve damage from glaucoma, as far as we know, as based off our technology today, off of what we have, research, procedures, devices, there is no way to reverse the damage that's been done. For example, stem cells are not able to reverse that damage, at least not yet. What I'll tell you is that even though you can't reverse the damage that's been done from glaucoma or cataracts, you can help to prevent progression. And that's really what I want to emphasize, is that with supplements, you can protect your eyes from future damage, from progression of damage. So there are studies that have shown that people who have high antioxidant intakes, vitamin C and vitamin E and vitamin A and bioflavonoid intakes, can prevent progression of cataracts. Same with glaucoma. Populations that have high intakes of these antioxidants can prevent progression. Ginkgo is one of them as well. Bilberry extract. And then there are some other extracts as well, which I didn't talk about. For example, pine bark extract has been shown to help with glaucoma. Citicoline is a natural compound produced by our body that can also help with glaucoma. So you may want to think about some of those types of supplements for prevention of progression. So now I'm going to move on. So Kate is asking, at my last appointment, my optometrist noted the presence of drusen. How serious is this? Is there something in particular that I should be doing? My mother has lost her sight to wet macular degeneration. So let me dive into that here. So drusen are deposits underneath the retina that are the earliest stage of macular degeneration. And drusen, if there are drusen present, then that basically falls into the category of dry macular degeneration. Now, there's dry macular degeneration and there's wet macular degeneration. And so what can you do for that? Well, there are very powerful studies that looked at diet and macular degeneration. So we know that patients who are on a Mediterranean-style diet can prevent progression of macular degeneration. People who have diets very high in lutein and zeaxanthin can help prevent progression of macular degeneration. People who have diets high in omegas can help prevent progression of macular degeneration. So think about including all of those very powerful foods. Remember, when it comes to eye health, food can be considered medicine. So if you eat those foods, there are other lifestyle factors that can help prevent macular degeneration. I actually did a course, an online course on macular degeneration. I've run it several times in the past, and I don't have it running right now, but I may run it again next year. So definitely, if you're interested in learning more about what you can do to prevent macular degeneration, you can consider taking my course. Now, as I mentioned earlier, with the AREDS studies, AREDS 1 and AREDS 2 were designed only for individuals with intermediate stage macular degeneration, which means a certain number of drusen, a certain type of drusen. So I would ask your doctor, which category do you fall into? Do you fall into early, intermediate, or late stage dry macular degeneration? And based off of that, you and your doctor can help decide which type of supplement is best for you. Even if you don't qualify for AREDS 1 or AREDS 2, which is a very specific formulation, I would still recommend doing an eye health supplement like I described. Maybe Fortify, whether it's my supplement or another supplement that has those ingredients in it. So you may want to explore some of those types of supplements. Okay, Geetha Cohen is asking, my daughter was born with a cataract and she has an intraocular lens. She's on 3 types of eye drops. She's 18 now. Is there any supplement or natural intervention she can do? Hard to get her on a great diet. Okay, so people can have cataracts at any age. I think that's a common misconception, is that cataracts only happen to adults or older adults. They can happen in younger adulthood. They can happen in children. There can be babies born with cataracts. So it sounds like your daughter is one of those people who had a congenital cataract. Now, what happens is after congenital cataracts are removed, there can be lifelong eye issues that may develop. For example, glaucoma is one of them. With high eye pressure, babies with congenital cataracts can also develop retinal issues, like retinal detachment is a higher risk as well. So what can you do from a nutritional standpoint to protect against future eye issues after congenital cataract surgery? Well, as I was mentioning earlier, there is a supplement or a couple of glaucoma supplements or supplements that can help glaucoma. Citicoline can help lower eye pressure. And if you're interested in that, then please email my office and I can give you a lot more details about this. There's also pycnogenol, which is a combination of French maritime pine bark extract plus a berry extract that's also been shown to lower eye pressure. So those are some things you may want to consider, as well as ginkgo. So those are very, very specific to high eye pressure and glaucoma. Aside from that, also the berry extracts that I was talking about earlier, mackey berry extract, bilberry extract can also potentially help. So those are some things I would suggest, but you may want to do a little bit more research into some of those compounds. And again, if you're interested, please email my office and we can send you some information on those other types of supplements that I didn't really go into much detail about today because in the interest of time, I didn't go into all of those. Okay, if we start taking supplements, do we need to stay on them forever? That's a great question. The answer is I don't know. I really don't know. What I would say is, given the day and age that we live in, with the poor quality of the nutritional content of our food, soil nutrient depletion, also the stressors that our eyes are exposed to, the amount of screen time, the amount of blue light that we're exposed to during our daily lives. Personally, I would stay on a supplement indefinitely because I want to be as proactive as possible to protect my eyes for the future. Now, I'll share with you, I'm in my 50s. And, I don't want to develop down the road cataracts or glaucoma or macular degeneration. If I can do something to prevent it, even if it's 20, 30 years down the line, I will start doing that now, because I know what, how devastating some of these eye issues can be. I've seen it in my patients, when they lose vision from some of these age-related eye conditions. So I also take my supplement, Nourish. I want to be proactive. And I think if you want to be proactive, consider doing it. Now, whether you need to take it every day or not, there's really no research to prove it either way, either pro or con, whether you need to take it daily. But if you're worried about it, maybe take it even a couple of times a week will help to support your body's natural nutritional status. So the answer is we don't know, but my personal take is I'm going to do it because I don't want anything to happen in the future. And I want to maintain healthy vision and still be able to read and drive and see faces and, do all the things I love to do now that I want to still be doing in my 80s and 90s and beyond. Okay. Mary is asking, is it better to take supplements in the morning? So this is a really interesting question, and there's a lot to talk about here, and I don't know if I'll get to all of it, but what I'll say is that certain supplements are fat soluble and certain supplements are water soluble. So if you're taking water soluble supplements, which tend to be some of the multis, you want to take it in the morning. With just, before you eat. And some of the fat soluble vitamins you want to take with food, with meals to get, have better absorption with the fats in your meals. You don't have to have a lot of fat in your meals, but for example, the lutein and zeaxanthin, these are best absorbed if they're actually taken with a fatty meal. So keep that in mind. And there's a lot more to say about that again, but in the interest of time, I think I'll leave it at that. And it's a little bit after 4, so I don't want to take too much more of your time. Are there any side effects or risks in taking supplements? Anything can have a side effect. I mean, anything you put into your body can potentially have a side effect. It doesn't have to be only a prescription medication. It can be a supplement. It can be a botanical. It can be an oil that you put on your body. It could be something you inhale. Anything can have a potential side effect. And not everyone has the same side effect risk. So the only way you'll know is if you take it and you have something, some symptom, you stop it, the symptom goes away, and you take it again, you re-challenge yourself with that, whatever that substance was. And if you have that symptom again, then okay, this is what caused my side effect, and maybe it's not the best thing for me. So there is a certain level of trial and error when it comes to taking supplements and watching for any side effects. Unfortunately, there's no kind of across the board, like this is the side effect that can happen, because anything can happen to anyone at any time. What are the other ingredients in Fortify? So again, the macular carotenoids, astaxanthin, tocotrienol, ginkgo, and 2 types of berry extracts. There are some additional ingredients that are not active ingredients. They're not fillers. Fillers are what are typically put into tablets. Fortify is a capsule. So it's not a filler, but it's something, for example, silicon dioxide is in Fortify to help prevent caking, to prevent the powders from sticking together. There's also a microcellulose capsule it's enclosed in. The supplement itself is vegetarian. So it is suitable for vegetarians. All of my supplements are suitable for vegetarians, actually, except for Soothe, which is a fish oil type supplement. So it does have animal-derived omega. So that's the only supplement that's not vegetarian. But if you're interested in more details about what the supplements have in terms of non-active ingredients, please email my office and we can send you the actual all the what we call tear sheets for each of the supplements. You can see exactly what's in there, but no fillers in my supplements. So Anita is asking, where could we purchase your brand? Thank you for asking, Anita. If you click the link that I shared earlier, or if you simply scan the QR codes, I can go back. I don't know if I can go back actually. Oh, it doesn't let me go back in terms of the slides, but we will, when we share the replay link with you, we'll also share the link if you wanted to purchase the supplements. Okay. So I'll just take 2 more questions because I know we're well over time here. What are the specific supplements to reduce cataracts? So vitamins C and E are probably the most beneficial. Plus, there's some early work to show that the macular carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin, can help as well, and potentially astaxanthin, and also tocotrienol. So there are some not human studies, there are animal studies using tocotrienol that have shown benefit in terms of cataracts in animals and animal models. So it has not yet translated to humans, but those are the ones that have been shown in studies for cataracts. And okay, so I'll take one more question. Are algal omega-3s as good as fish oil omega-3s? So really interesting question there. What I'll tell you is that the fish oil omegas come from the algae that they eat. So the algae are actually the original source of the omegas. And so if you're eating fish oil, if you're taking a fish oil supplement, it's a certain concentration because those fish have ingested the algae that are producing the omegas. So that is my answer to that. And with that, I'm going to actually end the webinar today. I know there's a couple more questions, but I just want to respect everyone's time. And again, we will, there's a lot of questions here, so I'm sorry, I really didn't get to all of them, but I will have my staff email you all with the link to the replay, and then the tear sheets for the supplements if you're interested. And if you have specific questions, you can email me and then I will get to that. Just give me a couple of days because I do see there's a lot of other questions here. So I want to be able to answer people's questions individually. So give me a couple of days and I'll be able to answer that as well. So thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate your time. I hope you all stay well and healthy. And again, I wish you the best with your eye health. Please consider getting my book if you want to learn more about eye health and nutrition. And also please consider the supplements if you want to really go beyond the standard supplements for your eyes. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.